Hello, this is Jari from Wintersun, and you're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 290 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I have the absolute honor and a privilege to speak with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Jari Maenpaa from Wintersun. How are you doing today, Jari? It is so great to have you here today.
Hey, great to be here. I'm doing great, and thanks for doing this interview.
Anytime. So kind of what I want to talk about, like your musical history, do a rundown of your discography, as well as talk about time too, but take me back to young Jari. So growing up in Finland, what were the first bands that got you into metal and what made you want to be a musician?
Well, when I was a little kid, the first introduction to heavier music for me was Kiss and Wasp, and even Twisted Sister. I got like a birthday present which had it was a C cassette, and on the other side there was Asylum, and on the other side there was Animalize, and I really fell in love with that music. Still big Kiss fan today, but then later on, I had a little like a non-metal phase when I was like, I don't know, maybe 10 to 13 years old, something like that. I was listening to rap music and pop music like Vanilla Ice, MC Hammer, or Michael Jackson, stuff like that. But then I heard some Sepultura first. Like I was like, what the hell is this? This is crazy. But then what really got me into playing into metal and playing guitar was Metallica. My friend Oliver, who was the ex-Ensiferum drummer, he got a guitar and some Metallica albums, and he was showing the music to me, and I was like, wow, this guitar sound and this music is so powerful, and it really blew me away. And immediately, like, I want to learn this, play these riffs, and that was the spark that got me into like heavy metal music. Then later on, in my teenage years, I got more into even heavier stuff like black and death metal. More, I would say, I enjoyed black metal like Emperor, Dissection, and then melodic, like these melodic death metal bands from Sweden, Norway. At the Gates, Dark Tranquility.
Yeah, who I just interviewed Martin before.
Oh shit, cool. Then Dimmu Borgir, a lot of those bands, and that's where I kind of then started making my own music as well, and was influenced a lot by those bands for the first Wintersun album.
Awesome. And so kind of like digging deep, I believe one of your first bands was Immemorial. Like, I'm always curious about that because I don't think nobody ever really talks about them.
Well, yeah. It wasn't really like a serious band. It was just me and Oliver, making some songs together and just, having fun playing some songs. So it was like a two-man project. Oliver also plays guitar, and me and Oliver, we used to go to these youth center places. There was like a drum set and like a guitar amp. We brought our own guitars. And we just played together like two guys. And sometimes we switch, like, okay, you play the drums and I play the guitar. It turned out that Oliver was much better drummer than me. So then we kind of stick to that. But it was more like me and him were making like demos together with a drum machine. And a lot of the early, what I intended to like be my solo project songs. There was a couple of songs like Sadness I Hate and what else? Fly Into the Sky and songs like that, which are now, part of the legendary early demos.
Yeah.
So we just kind of combined our own songs. Oliver, brought his couple of songs and I brought a couple of my songs. And we made this kind of unofficial, like a demo CD, but the band never really went anywhere because I joined Ensiferum, and then a couple of years later, Oliver joined Ensiferum, and then we were focusing more on Ensiferum.
Yeah, and how did you end up joining Ensiferum? Because you joined in '96.
Well, yeah, there was Ensiferum was originally like a trio without a singer. There was like Kimmo Miettinen and then Markus and Sauli Savolainen. And Markus was always kind of the main guy who started the band, and he's the main composer. But those three guys, they needed a, vocalist and another guitar player, and they kind of lived nearby, and I knew about the guys, but I wasn't close friends. But then they kind of heard that I was like making my own music, and I played guitar and I was singing. So they asked me like, would you like to try to join our band? And then I went to like listen to their stuff, and they had like rented this really small like a rehearsal place. It was also like a youth center, like a really closet room, and they were rehearsing there. And then I went to try, and we played together, and we decided, okay, this works really great. Like this works like a real band, and then we just decided, okay, let's go for it, and let's try this.
Yeah, and then going into 2001, you dropped the self-titled Ensiferum album, which of course you got signed to Spinefarm Records. So how did Spinefarm find Ensiferum, and what was sort of like the thought process making the debut Ensiferum album?
Yeah, well, the first Ensiferum demo we made in '96, then the second one '98, and we were doing quite a few shows in Finland, mainly in Helsinki, and we were doing this like youth center band competitions, and we were really liked in those competitions, and we got more fame, and I think we sent the second demo to Spinefarm, but we still didn't get the deal. But then we did, I think in 2000 we made the third demo. We had the Hero in a Dream as the first track, and then me and Markus were sitting in a car and driving to somewhere, and Markus got a call from Spinefarm, and they were like, come to the office and let's make a deal. So we were pretty excited about that, and then just we got the deal and went to record the first album.
Yeah, I especially love like Hero in a Dream, Token of Time, Treacherous Gods, all like good shit.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Yeah,
I like it too.
yeah. And then when the first Ensiferum album dropped, did you start like touring outside of Finland for the first time, or was it still just locally around Helsinki and stuff?
Well, me personally, I never got to go abroad with Ensiferum. Actually, we did the second album, Iron, in Copenhagen with Flemming Rasmussen, but I never got to tour, outside of Finland.
Yeah.
But after that second album, I had already like booked studios to record the first Wintersun album, because I was already planning that for a long time, and it was a big dream of mine. And then Ensiferum got the first European tour, and it was booked right in the middle of my studio time. And I wasn't really happy with that, because I've been planning this so long, and I was really wanting to do the solo project at the time. So I decided to go record that, and then we split our ways.
Yeah.
And they hired Petri Lindroos, who was playing in Norther at the time, and then he joined Ensiferum.
Yeah. And this year does also mark 20 years of Iron. This is pretty much personally one of my favorite Ensiferum album. Like I remember hearing like Tale of Revenge, and it's still one of my favorite Ensiferum songs. And
yeah,
I even love like the Metallica cover of Battery. What made you guys decide to like cover it for Metallica, or more specifically that song in particular?
Well, especially me and Oliver were big Metallica fans, and we loved to play Metallica covers all the time. And then when we got the opportunity from Spinefarm to record the album with Flemming Rasmussen, because the Spinefarm, guys also knew that we were playing, Metallica covers live, and they knew that we were big Metallica fans as a band. They thought like, let's make this experiment, and let's put you guys to record an album with Flemming Rasmussen. And of course we were like so excited about the opportunity and like, hell yeah, let's do this.
Nice.
So yeah.
And also one thing I would love also to touch since like I know I'm kind of backtracking, guys. I want to talk about like Artemisia. You did like the Devs Erratives in 2001. I'm always curious, like another band like nobody ever really talks about.
Yeah, that's actually the first album I've ever done. It was right before the first Ensiferum album.
Yeah, because they're both released the same year.
Yeah, and that was a second band of mine that I was playing. I was just playing the guitar as a second guitar player, and I composed 3 songs for that album. Yeah, it was a black metal band that I love to also play, and it was totally different group of guys. But Kimmo Miettinen, who was the original drummer of Ensiferum, he was the drummer of Artemisia.
Nice. And then tell me about like forming Wintersun, because Wintersun formed in 2003. So how did the idea of making Wintersun come to be?
Yeah, well, Wintersun was like in the very early demos I was making. It was like my solo project, and I was like gathering and making different sort of songs. And then at some point, I noticed like this kind of trend with one like music style, like these songs would fit very well together as an album. And then I just decided like this is gonna be a great album, and I wanna record it. And yeah, then I just went to record the album. And originally I was just planning to record the album by myself with a drum machine, but then a few of my friends were like, no, fuck that, don't use drum machine, you gotta ask some drummer. And one of my friends said like, what about Kai Hahto, who was like a big thing, especially in Finland. He was playing in Rotten Sound, and he was like a big thing, like the blast beats were so fast and amazing. And I was like, no, he's not gonna come. But then I just decided, send him an email, like, what the hell, let's ask. And he was interested, and then I sent, some of the demo material to him, and then we talked on the phone, and he said, okay, let's do it. I want to do it. And I was like really happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we went to do the album.
Yeah. And then you got signed to Nuclear Blast Records. So how did Nuclear Blast find Wintersun?
Yeah, we were playing with Ensiferum in Nosturi. In Nosturi, one show. And one of the AR guys was there seeing the show. And after the show, I was hanging in the bar, and he came to talk to me and, giving his congratulations about the show and so on. And we just got to talking, and at some point, like we started talking, I don't know, talking that I have also my own music, and he was really interested. And I think I said to him like, I will send you some of my demos, but then I never did. But then he sent email to me later, hey, where's the demos? I was like, oh shit. It was like because I kind of didn't believe that he would be interested in having making a deal or something like that. Then I sent the demos, and they sent immediately like the contract and so on, and I was like, what the fuck? And then just signed the contract, and rest is history.
Yeah. And then 2004, you dropped the self-titled debut album, which in my opinion is one of the best metal debut albums of all time in the 21st century, I should say. Hey, so what was sort of like the whole writing and recording process like for the first Wintersun album?
Yeah, well, I had demoed the songs with my, my recording equipment at that time. And like most of the stuff was ready, but a lot of the synth stuff wasn't ready. But it was just like we know what the song structures were, so it was just like matter of adding things on top. So me and Kai booked first studio time in Tiko Tiko in Kemi to go record the drums. And we went there, and about a week we recorded drums, and Kai's playing was amazing. He did a lot of improvisation and a lot of great feels and, you know, crazy ideas. Yeah. Like, that guy is just a beast. And then I had the drum tracks, and it was just a matter of putting everything else on top, the guitars, the synths and vocals. But then I went to a different studio, to Suunnikup Studios, which was more familiar to me, because we recorded the first Ensiferum album there with Tuomo Valtonen. So I knew the guy and the studio, so I wanted to record the rest there. Then I was there just alone in the middle of Finland in that studio with Tuomo, you know, recording the guitars, doing the vocals. And then I had this drum machine that I used a lot of, because that drum machine had like synth sounds also. I used the drum machine for synths, but also I lent this big, I think it was a Korg synthesizer from Jukka-Pekka Miettinen, who was the bass player originally in Ensiferum. And I had to like program with MIDI, use the drum machine to program the MIDI, and then fed the MIDI from the drum machine to the keyboard, and then record to my 16-track recorder, and then move those synth tracks in the studio. So it was quite a workflow.
Yeah.
And then everything was just kind of ready, and the mixing started, but I wasn't really happy how the mixing turned out the first try with Tuomo. And then I asked Nino Laurenne, who had a little studio, Sonic Pump Studios in Helsinki. And he said, yeah, let's give it a try. And then he made a killer sound that I really loved. And that sound, you know, stuck with the album.
Yeah, I especially love like the album artwork. It's like really beautiful. One of the most beautiful album artworks, because I also have the CD, and I know how in the CD it also had like your name in one of the corner. And I love how there's like the guy on the flat thing. I think a lot of people think it's like you. So how did this artwork come to be?
Yeah, the artwork is by Christian Wohlin, who also did the 2 Ensiferum album covers. And yeah, I really love that cover too. I really wanted like this wintry scene, because I was a big fan of Dissection, and that Storm of the Light's Bane cover is also album. Yeah, really love it. Also by Christian Wohlin. So I wanted him to do like a similar cover, because I had also this Winter Team album. And I think the album is about this feeling of despair and trying to reach home, and the light represents home. You're kind of lost in the winter, and that's kind of the feeling I had.
Yeah.
And
I love how every song just like flows through, like starting with like Beyond the Dark Sun and ending with Sadness and Hate. Like every song is different from one another, but it doesn't like interrupt like the flow or feel awkward. It just feels like it just goes through like perfectly. It just has like that whole kind of vibe behind it.
You mean the first album?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was collecting these songs for many years, and then it's just a matter of like to just put them in the right order, so to speak. So they would like, the album structure would work very well.
Yeah.
And that album was kind of, album structure was kind of, I shifted with the Time 1 and Time 2 album as well.
Yeah, but you know, and of course this year does also mark 20 years of this album. Hard to believe, Jari, 20 years since the self-titled Wintersun album. Like, how do you feel about this album now 20 years later?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast time goes, but
no pun intended.
I still love the album, but yeah, I still love the album, and I'm very proud of it. Yeah. But for me, it's like I'm a little bit sick of the songs, because we played the songs so many times live, and because we didn't have we had so much trouble doing the Time 1 songs, so there's been a lot of very little Wintersun releases. So we just had to keep on playing the old songs over and over again.
Yeah.
So they kind of, in my mind, worn out a little bit.
Yeah.
But of course, when you take time and then you go back on stage and you see the audience really enjoying the songs, that gives you the energy again, and you can feel the songs
Yeah.
like how they originally felt.
Yeah. And being as it has been 20 years, I know we also have Time 2 coming out the end of the month. Is there a chance we can get a celebration, maybe just do like sort of like an instrumental version of this or isolated tracks, kind of like how you did with the both Time albums and the Four Seasons?
Well, maybe, but it's gonna be difficult because that album was recorded so long time ago, so there wasn't this modern recording technology where it would be easier to then just later do the isolated tracks. So all the tracks are like scattered somewhere in CDs and stuff. So it would take a lot of work to put them all together, and I couldn't get the same mix again. It would be just the raw tracks.
Yeah.
But maybe someday, never say never. But at the moment, I have so much other projects that I want to concentrate on. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And then of course the album dropped, and then of course it was in 2005 you got the Yuka and Temu in the band. So how did they end up joining Wintersun?
Yeah, well, after the first album, it was like just the time to go on touring, and the record label was pushing to do that because the album was like a big hit and selling well. So let's try to push it even more. Then I said, why not? Because I'm not in Ensiferum anymore. So let's try to form a real band out of this. And I first asked Kai, and he said, yes, sure, let's do it. But then for the guitar player, I made this like a public announcement on some maybe some forums or somewhere around the time, and that we're looking for a guitar player, and there was a lot of applicants, and Teemu was just the best, and he was very thorough and tight player and very cool guy otherwise, and he was my pick. And then Jukka, I've known him a little bit before, because Ensiferum had a rehearsal place at Nosturi, which also was the famous venue in Finland where a lot of bands played. But in that same building, there was a lot of rehearsal places, and Norther was playing on the third floor, and we were on the second floor with Ensiferum. So I've known Jukka for a few years, and then I think we were at Tavasti Club, which is also another famous Helsinki venue where bands play. And I think it was Norther shows that evening. And after the show, I was talking with Jukka, and just kind of throw it out there like, what do you say? You want to come play to my band as well? And he said, yeah, sure. And I was like, no, you're not gonna. You're joking. But he was like, yeah, I'll come. I was like, what the fuck? All right, let's do this. So just like that.
Yeah. And then of course 2006 you started working on what would become Time, but then eventually separating into two albums. So how did the idea of Time come to be?
Yeah, around the first album, and especially after that, I started working on new songs, and I was especially influenced about these movies, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Memoirs of a Geisha. So I was really inspired and wanted to explore this kind of Asian exotic melody style even more, because that style was already in me. There's a little hints even in the first album here and there, especially in the solos, and but it was there already when I was like a 6-year-old kid, like a little boy, and I was playing this Commodore 64 game, Last Ninja and Last Ninja 2. Those games had amazing soundtracks and had that kind of Asian melody style. So ever since I was a little kid, that melody style has been in me. But especially for Time 1 and 2, I really wanted to explore it more and go deep into it. So yeah.
Yeah. And then going into Time One, oh, and I love this album. This was pretty much my introduction into Wintersun. I discovered you all back in near the end of late 2013. So being as it has, there was like an 8-year gap between the self-titled and Time One. So how was the sort of like the writing and recording process? And did you feel like overall satisfied with it after all these years?
Yeah, well, for time 1 and 2, the recording process happened at the same time. It's just that the mixing and mastering for time 2 happened, last year. So there was like a 12-year break between the albums. So I thought the recordings went pretty well, but the big issues came with doing all the orchestrations, because there were so many. I wanted to make this album that had a lot of layers, so it would be this big wall of sound, but it turned out to not to be so easy, especially with at the time the computer power were not enough, and also with the mixing and mastering, I was living in this very small, apartment building, and an apartment, and I had the wrong size monitors and no acoustic treatment, so it was really hard to work there and hear what I was doing. So I wasn't really fully happy with the time 1 mix. At the time, I was like, okay, this is good enough to put out. But then for time 2, I wanted to really, get the production to the next level. But then 2014, like, I wasn't able to do it. So that's why I had needed to put time 2 on break and do something else.
Yeah. But Time One, I thought was a great album. Like going from that epic intro when time fades away into Sons of Winter and Stars, which in my opinion is probably my favorite Wintersun album. It's not the album
Yeah, thanks.
song. I also like every song like flows through perfectly. I just it's just
Yeah, I think the music is good. I really love it myself. It's just that the production originally, like, I wasn't happy with it. But now when Time 2 is going to be released, there will also be the Time 1 2.0, which will have the same production and same mix and master as Time 2.
yeah.
So now I think the Time 1 is finally also the way it was always meant to be.
Yeah, and I love how you also did like a hidden track, which is basically an a cappella of the Sons of Winter and Stars. So how did you
Oh
come
yeah.
up with that idea to make it as like a hidden track?
Well, yeah, then there was always like some CDs had these hidden tracks, and it was just fun to put something at the end, because you had a CD and then the listener can, like, is there anything still at the end?
Yeah.
So it was just this raw recording of the chorus, Sons of Winter and Stars chorus recordings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And so when Time One was released, what was sort of like the touring cycle like? Because I believe around the time you started touring in the US for the first time. So what was it like visiting like a new country for the first time?
Yeah, touring US especially was really amazing. Yeah, we toured from 2012 and 2013 in the US. And yeah, one of the best touring experiences I had.
Yeah.
Great crowds and really warm welcome, and crazy to see, especially how big the country is, and then the cities as well. It's just it feels so different than what Finland is.
Yeah.
So amazing experiences.
Yeah. And then your last album, The Four Seasons. I love this album. This was actually one of my top albums of 2017. So how'd the idea come to be? Because I know you mentioned before you put Time 2 on hold. So how'd the idea of The Four Seasons come to be?
Yeah, when Time 2 went on hold, then I really needed to go back to the drawing board and come up with something. And I was like taking a little break and doing some jogging and walking in the nearby forest. And then one day I just went a little bit further, and just that day, something magical was about that day, like how the sun rays were coming through the trees. And I just immediately remembered this one riff that was in my riff library. And I connected that riff to that, magical experience, and I immediately ran back home and started working on that song, and that song became The Forest That Weaves.
Yeah.
And it came really fast and really easy, and I was like, holy shit, let's do this style and explore more of this style.
Yeah.
Then the other songs, I had also some other riff of that style, and I just started building that album. And I wanted to make an album that was more raw, and you could make it with a lower budget.
Yeah.
That didn't need these big symphonic orchestras and layers.
Yeah, and I loved when you started promoting it. You sort of like did like the whole Indiegogo crowdfunding idea, and especially the Forest package. So how did the idea of that come to be?
Well, yeah, because for time too, we really needed to upgrade our resources and get better studio and better gear, better computers. So basically, we need more money. So we came up with this. Well, it wasn't really a big idea, because crowdfunding was at the time like a big thing. Many people were doing it, and so I thought like this could be something to try. And then we just kept on working it. But I never felt like we wanted to do the crowdfunding like the traditional way, like the fans invest in the product. So we decided to do it like our own way. We make the finished product first, and then we sell it like as a pre-order. But then there was a little confusion, like, is this crowdfunding or what is this? That then came a little backlash because of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still was a big success, and we were very happy how it went. And then we did the second one this year, and it was also a big success. So we're very, very happy with it.
Yeah.
And those resources really allowed me to get all the better studio and better computers, and allowed me to finally get time to the level where I always wanted it to be.
But still talking about the Four Seasons, I still love this album. This has a whole place because this was like the first time I ever saw you guys. You did that tour with the Neil Bliviscaris in 2018. I saw you all at the Lofted Center stage in Atlanta. That was so far my only time I saw Wintersun, and you guys are definitely in my like top 5 live bands I've seen to date.
Sorry, I need to, I got a new interviews coming. I'm not sure if you were informed that it was only going to be 30 minutes.
I was not.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because I have multiple interviews booked for 30 minutes.
Yeah, but
if we can wrap it quickly.
All right, but talking about Time 2, I'm really excited for. We have a first album in almost 8 or so years, but also new tiny Time 2 after 12 years. So how excited are you for Time 2?
Well, I wouldn't say. Well, yeah, I'm excited, but for me, it's like I've dealt with that album so much. So for me, it's like I just wanna get it out and focus on new things. But of course, I feel like it's a big burden lifted from my shoulders. And initially, back in like last year, December, when I finally took the final exports of the mixes, I was like, finally it's done. I can move on. Yeah. So that was the best feeling then. Yeah. Now it's just like.
Yeah. What can fans expect from Time 2?
Well, it's going to be more diverse. There's more variety between the songs than was on Time 2. It's going to be more of a roller coaster, more dynamics between the songs, but it's with a lot better production, and there's highs and lows, calm moments, because a lot of the songs, well, all the songs have so many layers, a big wall of sound, and the songs are very long, so your ears can get tired listening to those songs. So I created a lot of these calmer moments between the songs, and more of these ambient parts. Yeah, but yeah, it's more in. I think it's more in-depth album. Time 1 was more straightforward, like energy, and this is more emotional and like with feelings. It goes high and low.
Yeah, and I know you also had like 4 other albums in the works. Like, what's the status with the next Wintersun album? I know there's like one that's like 80% done or so. What's the status with those, and will they ever see the light of day?
Yeah, unless I die. got hit by a car tomorrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely one album is 80% done, and I'm really excited about it.
Right.
Really want to get that done as soon as possible, but no promises yet. But after this release, I'm gonna start working on it or continue working on it straight away and hope to get it done.
And so, kind of like in the end, to wrap things up, what's next for Wintersun? We got Time 2 coming out August 30th. Is just anything else with the release of the album that you like to plug? And when can we expect Wintersun to come back and tour the States?
Well, right now we're with the Time 2 album, we're not gonna go back on the touring because I wanna get more Wintersun music out, and so I wanna continue making this next album. But yeah, people can get the Time 2 album from Nuclear Blast, or maybe they have a local record shop who distributes it. And we have our own new official merch store, Backstage Rock Shop. So we're constantly, making Facebook updates. So follow us on social media and get the album, get some merch. And thank you guys for all the support during these years. And without you, we couldn't do this.
Awesome. So everybody, Jari from Wintersun, and we'll see you next time.